Get ready for your daily dose of marketing strategies and tactics from entrepreneurs with the guile and experience to help you find success in any marketing capacity. You're listening to Marketing School with your instructors, Neil Patel and Eric Siu.
Welcome to another episode of Marketing School. I'm Eric Siu.
And I'm Neil Patel.
And today we're going to talk about how to create a marketing budget. So first and foremost, I think if you look at the large companies out there, the Fortune 500s, typically their marketing budgets are a little low. I think it's 6 to 12% of gross revenues. And then smaller companies, I believe it's about 15 to 20% of gross revenues. Neil, you're smiling right now, and I'm wondering why you're smiling. Why are you smiling, Neil?
I don't believe in marketing budgets.
Elaborate.
I believe that if it's profitable, you do as much as you can. If it's not profitable, you turn it down. So if it's profitable, like if a pay-per-click campaign is profitable and you're getting 2-to-1 return, why wouldn't you spend $10 million or $100 million? I know there's not going to be enough inventory, but just max it out. Not max out, your marketing budget, as in your budget should be flexible based on the results you're getting. And most business owners, even Fortune 500 companies, I've talked to some of the CEOs of these Fortune 500 companies. And it's funny when you sit in the marketing department, it's like, yeah, marketing has a line of X dollars. And I've talked to some of the CEOs and CMOs, and I'm like, yeah, but if I give you a 1.5 to 1 return on your money or a 1.2 and it's highly profitable, you're telling me you're limited on budget? You know what the response they always tell me is? No, we have a ton of cash in the bank. We want to spend as much as possible. If we can exceed, the numbers, that would be great for our stock price, our quarterly earnings, or whatever it may be. People don't really have a marketing budget. Even the small companies who have very little money, if you can spend $1 and give them $2 in return, usually within 30 days, they'll spend as much as, you can take.
Yep, and I actually operate from the same model of thinking, model of thinking that Neil comes from, because I just like to gamble when it comes to marketing, because it doesn't make sense to have to limit yourself, right? You're supposed to, ideally, you're spending as much as you can, and then the saying in marketing is, I think if you're able to outspend, the one that spends the most is the one that wins at the end of the day. I'm paraphrasing here, but for those of you that do like to set some kind of percentage there, I would say 15 to 20% of gross. Sure, you can go with that. But if you have something that's working, if you have some kind of funnel that's working well, let's take somebody's info product, for example. They have a really good info product funnel that's working on Facebook. By all means, max it out as much as you can, and then go from there. And then you can take that money and then you can either reinvest it or figure out other areas that you want to invest back into. But if you're putting in $1 and you're making $5, it doesn't make sense to just cap it at a budget. It's the same thing with people that come to us and say, and I made fun of this so many times already, the startups that come to us and say, oh, we have a $5,000 budget to test on this, even though we're spending $200,000 a month on blah blah blah, and we're ready to spend a lot of money, but we only have this $5,000 budget to test. Like, that doesn't make any sense, because if it's working, you're not going to just set a 1 month campaign for $5,000. You're ideally looking for traction. You're not going to just say, we're gonna cap it, even though we're starting to see the numbers get better and better.
Where your budget should be set is for headcount and internal resources. So how many people do you want in your marketing department? What do you need people for? SEO, pay-per-click, etc., managers, whatever it may be. That kind of stuff. Set a budget, determine it with based on your cash flow, bank balance, or your boss, or whoever it may be. The stuff you shouldn't set budgets with is paid advertising, SEO, assuming it's giving you a positive cash flow ROI, email marketing campaigns, assuming every time you send out an email, you're making more money, right? The things in which you spend money and you can see a direct return pretty quickly, don't have budgets with, just make sure it's highly profitable. The stuff that isn't necessarily driving a direct ROI, such as adding more headcount, that's where you should have a budget. So that's the mindset you need to shift into. And when you're dealing with bosses or higher ups and oh, your pay-per-click budget is capped at X dollars, you have to explain to them, hey, I have a question about the budget. Is there a reason you want me to cap it? If I can end up showing you that it's profitable from day one, and you're paying by credit card, so technically you're paying net 30, yet you receive the money right away from the customers, in that case, shouldn't we just be spending unlimited amount? If you're in a long sales cycle and you see the revenue come in 6-12 months later, sure, by all means, cap this paid spending until you're 100% sure that it's a positive ROI. But if that's not the case, you need to explain it to the people you're working with, so that way they're on the same page. And most people are logical, in which they'll be like, yeah, if you're telling me we pay net 30 and we get the revenue up front, sell as much as you can.
All right. So I don't think there's much more to add around this other than both Neil and I think that if you have something working, go all in. Just because we're both gamblers. So we're probably not the best people to ask about this.
I remember a few months ago, we were in Vegas and Eric was visiting and we were recording some podcasts. So his buddies come into town and we're at Aria Casino for dinner. And his buddies were late and they're quite a bit late. I think, like 20, 30 minutes?
Yeah.
So they're 20, 30 minutes late. Eric's like, what should we do? I have a few $1,000 in my pocket, right? This is Eric talking. And I was like, okay. He's like, let's gamble. I was like, all right. So I go to the gambling tables with him and I don't gamble. So he gambles at the first 5 minutes he gambled like $1,000 and then he loses. Did you lose all of it? I think you lost all of it.
I did.
He lost all of it. But for a moment he was up and I was like, let's go. So he loses all of it. He's like, all right, now let's go back to the restaurant. We go to the restaurant. And he's like, my friends say they're another 15 minutes delayed. Let's go back and gamble more. So then he goes back, he gambles more, he loses another $1,000 or $2. And then we go back to the restaurant and the lady's like, oh, we could have seated you if you want. You don't have to wait for the other party. He's just like, crap, I could have saved a few $1,000. But yeah, he's a gambler. I actually have a similar mentality. I don't like gambling like poker or blackjack like he does. But in business, I'm all or nothing. I look at the profit. And with one of my business, it does, hundreds and thousands of dollars a month in profit. And I don't care for the money with that business. So I look at all of it and I'm like, I'm like, what can I blow it on in the business? And I'll just invest it without thinking about an ROI. But for some crazy reason, when I do that, it always ends up paying off because I'm investing in things like content, videos, podcasting. Like we have this podcast with Eric and we're getting 250,000 listens a month. And I was telling Eric, I'm like, I'll do a deal with you. If you can find bloggers that we can pay, I'll spend $100,000 on email blasts to get to 1 million listens a month.
Hey, that's for you bloggers out there to have a good email list.
Yeah, you can email Eric, and if he likes it, we'll spend money with you. And the funny thing is like, there's no direct ROI, but I believe if you spend money in marketing in the right areas, long-term it pays back, just most people aren't willing to make the investment.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think this leads to both of our long-term outlooks. Marketing is related to business at the end of the day, and for us, I think we probably get more of a kick of spending money on business, at least, minus the blackjack stuff. But when you spend whatever money that I make, I think Neil, for the most part, most of the money that he's making goes into reinvestment or investing in other ventures, because that's just what's interesting to us. So that's the long term, and that's how we think about reinvesting. But that's it for this episode of Marketing School. We'll see you tomorrow.
This session of Marketing School has come to a close. Be sure to subscribe for more daily marketing strategies and tactics to help you find the success you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best daily content possible. We'll see you in class tomorrow, right here on Marketing School.